the one and only, the wonderful, the reason you guys are all here, Patricia Summersett, please. How are you? I'm good, how are you? All right, one more round of applause, please, for the wonderful.
Thank you for your patience as well. Thank you. Lovely. All right, put it over there.
Okay, so first and foremost, how are you doing today?
I'm great. I've been visited by awesome people all morning and hearing awesome stories and getting cosplay, and I had a nice coffee to start, so it was really important.
Nice. I'm actually jealous. I have not had my coffee yet.
No.
I'm running off fumes and the energy of my friends now.
Which is amazing, which is a lot, so.
Yes.
It's not a bad life.
So I will say, ooh, here, okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So I was letting everybody know as I was getting them warmed up for you. I was thinking about doing a popcorn style. So I'll ask a question, and then I'll have our wonderful friends line up with this mic right here in the middle, and then they'll ask a question, and we'll just go back and forth like that. Is that okay with you?
That sounds awesome.
All right.
That was like both at the same time. Okay. All right.
And it looks like we've got a ton of questions already.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I asked my first question. I'm gonna let this gentleman here in the Philly shirt go.
Okay. Hi. My question is, if you could voice any other past version of Zelda, like from Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, Wind Waker, which one would you pick?
I feel like that would change on every day that I would answer that question, but right now I'm thinking Twilight Princess. She's the first one that popped in my head. I'm like, yes.
Yeah. I'd like to see you play Ocarina of Time, Zelda.
Me too.
Hello, Patricia.
Hi.
So I have a question.
Indeed.
How
Hit me
did
up.
you get into the voice acting business? Is what I'm interested in knowing.
I would love to answer that question for you. So the voice acting business for me started pretty young, I would say, even before school. It was something that I had a curiosity for growing up. I would sing and dance with my sisters, and we would mimic jingles and stuff like that. So as a child, I was very voice-oriented in whatever I was doing. But I didn't actually discover voice acting as something that you could do for a career until I was in university and I was taking theater classes. And one of the classes I was doing during my program was a voice acting course where they taught you how to make your own initial demo, and you started to practice your own voices. So I started like, oh, what happens if I sound like a child? What happens if I try to age my voice? And I was just enamored with that work, and I thought, I'm definitely going to be doing voice acting for a variety of different styles of things wherever I can. But it was brand new, and I didn't find it until, I guess, later than what some people might now, because you're asking me this question at, I don't know how old you are, but...
20.
You're 20. So you would have been, younger than me when I would have even discovered that was a thing you could do for work and get paid for it. But anyway, if you're looking to get into it,
I'm interested in voice acting someday. I voice acted for like a little internet project, but it kind of went horribly wrong.
Horribly wrong.
But let's be honest, I'm looking to get into better voice acting roles one day. And be
Awesome.
like you, Zelda.
Thank you.
All right, have a great one, Patricia Summersett.
Thank you
aka
very much.
Princess Zelda.
And just keep going, keep practicing drafts and drafts. That's what I always say.
First of all, hi, and welcome to TooManyGames.
Thank you so much. Too many hellos, never.
So, I wanted to thank you because my best friend and I have played Zelda for so many hours. So thank you for doing the voice for the game.
You're welcome.
My question is, which of the stages in Tears of the Kingdom is your favorite, and why?
Which of the sages?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, can you remind me the names of the sages right now? Because I haven't even...
So, Yunobo is one, Tolan is the other, who's the other for Gerudo? Riju, and then Sidon.
I'm probably gonna have to go with Riju just because I also really like Elizabeth Maxwell in real life is like my just dear friend, and she's so cool. So, and I know she voiced her, but anyway.
Thank you.
Okay, real quick. I'm so sorry. I don't want to cut you off. We are going to get to your question. I just want to remind everybody, we have one question at a time. Okay, guys?
That's what I was wondering about. I was like,
Yeah.
I should probably wait.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right, we just want to keep it orderly, okay? So,
Yeah,
real
stay in order, guys. Come on.
come on. I do have a quick question, just because you mentioned your sisters, and I'm in love with the fact that you have a band.
Thank you. Yeah.
I don't know, is there, I know you said you have a new album coming out, and your band
Yeah.
is with your sisters, yes?
So, funny fact, I have a band called Summersett Band, but it's 8 people from Montreal, and it's an art folk band. It's like piano, voice, and then we play with violin, cello, bass, drums, and 2 other singers. And so that's the album that we've just released a month ago, and I have the vinyls at my table. In fact, I was going to do a vinyl giveaway, and I totally forgot. I actually still could, if anybody is interested in vinyl music. We could do like a trivia thing and do like give away a vinyl, because I have a couple with me. And yeah, you can find them online, but it's a little bit arduous with shipping. But I do also perform with my 3 sisters. They all do a bit of singing as well. 2 of them are singer-songwriters. One of them is an opera singer. Yeah, and so we perform as the Summersett Sisters sometimes.
Okay.
That's kind of folk. It's kind of folk as well. Yeah.
That's actually amazing. I'll definitely make sure to stop by your table later.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay, yes, your
Okay,
question.
so you might remember me before. I'm the one who speaks fluent Gerudo.
She speaks fluent Gerudo.
Where did you find that? Because
A lot of places.
okay.
I'm a
okay.
researcher just like Zelda. If I want to do something, it will happen.
Little Zelly.
Yes, little Zelly. Yes. My question is, because as much as I love Zelda, I also love Urbosa and Zelda's relationship. And in my house, an Urbosa is basically someone who's like a motherly figure for you and someone who's really there for you. So my question is, who's your Urbosa?
Aww.
Would it be weird if I said Urbosa?
No.
Because Urbosa is my Urbosa, and I would say that about both about, funny enough, the person who voices her, Elizabeth Maxwell, who has that kind of energy naturally. I wouldn't say motherly as much as like graceful guardian energy. She's really got that vibe in real life, and so I've often thought, oh, it's so funny how our relationship in real life mirrors a little bit what's in the game. So that would be my Urbosa. My Urbosa would be Urbosa.
Yeah, I love Urbosa so much.
I agree
love
with
Zelda
you.
and Urbosa. I love them both.
We can share all of that Urbosa Zelda love
Yes.
together. Yes.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Bye.
So my question, somebody actually gave me this question earlier. If you could have one aspect of the Triforce, power, courage, wisdom, which one do you think you would have?
Now, is this obviously not as like Zelda would be wisdom, right?
Right, right. But this is you as Patricia.
I think I strive for wisdom, but probably what I'm looking for often is courage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you got to get out there to learn how to be wise in the first place, I think.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I
But-
think that's actually a great aspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of courage to get up and do things every day. So
It takes a lot of
Probably
courage
should
to
need a little
realize
bit
you
more of
need
that.
courage.
yeah, and
Yeah.
wisdom is more, it feels a little more retrospective, but that's not entirely true, I suppose. Just accepting your day to day. They're all great. I mean, there's 3 of them for a reason.
Yeah. I agree. Yes, your question.
Out of all of the voice acting genres, what made you pick video games, and have you also done any live acting before?
Yes, I have. So in terms of video games, it is true that I do all sorts of voice acting. But I particularly like video games because they're similar to the kinds of character development that you can do in TV, film, and theater. They have a lot of crossover there. It's like a combination of like singing and theater and TV and film all in video games, especially when you start to do things like voice and motion capture. So I love acting for video games for a variety of reasons. I do also do TV film. If you look on my IMDb, you'll see I've been in like several TV series and films as well. The latest one would have been, that's on IMDb, would be like 3 Pines, which is something that's on Amazon Prime. Sorry, I don't know if you guys can hear. I can barely hear myself when that happens, but they're pumped. It's good. It's not even for me, but
They're really pumped back there.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Hello. I have a question for you. So So you know who Connor is from Assassin's Creed 3, right?
Say that again?
Connor from Assassin's Creed 3?
Do I know him personally?
No, but like you know the character.
Oh, yeah.
So my question
usually
is,
well, but-
how would you think if Hope was still alive from Assassin's Creed Rogue? How would you think Connor and Hope's friendship would go, or relationship in any matter?
Why do you ask?
No, I was just curious because I think of like what ifs, like if like you know like if let's say for example Darth Vader didn't turn to the dark side or something like that. So
I don't know. I don't know him well enough to know how Hope would actually find a way to become friends with him. She could be pretty cagey.
oh yeah, we all know.
In real life, I just think, when I think of Hope, I'm like, Hope would like Ezio. She'd be friends with Ezio.
Yes.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I was just curious what was your opinion on that? If
I've actually
Hope
never
was
thought
still
about it.
alive and she like had to work with Connor in Assassin's Creed 3.
They would make a very badass couple, I guess.
That's true.
Thank you.
You know, the funny part is, with our panel yesterday, I wanted so bad to ask you and Roger about Hope and Ezio's relationship and how you guys think that would have worked.
I would have liked to have heard Roger's explanation for that.
Right.
He spans many games as Ezio. Hope only got one. And yeah, with a fairly tragic fate, let's say, but not necessarily if you don't play all the way along.
Yeah.
I think they would, yeah. I don't know. They're very different different
are,
people.
but I feel
different
like-
times. Yeah. They'd probably have some competition in between them.
Yes.
And I think they would.
Especially with Hope's character. I
Yeah.
can see that.
Yeah.
So first of all, thank you for giving us undeniably the best version of Zelda. And
Because there's so much to compare it to.
so my question is actually, I'm curious if you've ever listened to, or if you have thoughts on the other voiced versions of Zelda. And I'm specifically thinking of the animated series and the CDI games.
Excuse me. I have heard those versions of them. And at the time when people were doing them, I mean, they were just, nobody really, like, you go with the team that you have and you do them. I mean, I'm partial to my own, I'm going to say. Like,
Sure.
I was also given a lot more context and reason to do it in the way that I did, but it is really fun to see the evolution, isn't it? Yeah,
absolutely.
Great.
Well, thank you.
Cheers, thank you.
So I do have a question. I want to know, how much freedom in the role of Princess Zelda did you actually have? Like, was the director saying, hey, can you do this specific voice? Can you do this accent? How much of it was you?
So the interesting thing about where this whole thing was established over 3 games is that when I first auditioned for it, I didn't know what I was auditioning for, and so I came in with an offering, and then it was essentially a callback, and then it's approved by a team of people, not just the director, but you have like a bunch of people at Nintendo America, and then also the other like mother company factions of Nintendo. So I would say by the time I landed the role and also was told what it was, they'd already made a lot of decisions. Like, it'd already been approved what I'd brought in.
Okay.
So I made those offerings, and then from there, I mean, it is kind of my own invention to begin with, but once that's sort of solidified, you know the direction that you're going to go in, and then the rest is understanding how to breathe life into that for a dub, which, of course, the lip flaps are Japanese lip flaps,
Right.
and then they're localized to the different countries. And so you have to kind of mix your language and the rhythm of your language with Japanese lip flaps, and that all gets written by several writers, and each thing gets approved, sometimes changed in the room. It's always a very collaborative process, all of that. So in terms of freedom, I would say that dubbing in general has a strong form to it, which is nice. But it is a different kind of freedom than when you have just something where you can ad-lib and there's no pace or rhythm to it that you have to follow. Yeah, so there was a lot of structure. I would say there's maybe, I don't want to say less freedom because it's just very different. And then the main thing is trying to, again, like, find little moments of nuance within that form. So maybe the work can be more subtle sometimes. It can
Okay.
feel that way. But it is highly creative, nonetheless.
Thank you. That's
Yeah.
really insightful.
Hi. So this isn't really a question, but I was wondering if you could do like the Blood Moon monologue for us live.
I wish I could. I can't.
Oh.
This is being filmed, and I'm under NDAs, and I can't.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. I know it's like the most boring answer ever, but I have to honor those.
All right. It's okay.
And people are watching. They are. Come up to me later. Come up to the table later.
There you go.
Mr. New York.
Okay, you can go. I don't have mine ready yet.
All right. I just want to say that like your portrayal of Zelda in Breath of the Wild, and especially in Tears of the Kingdom, I think is wonderful. Having Zelda as sort of like a research geek and somebody who really cares about Hyrule, I think it really comes across great with your voice. And I'm curious, you mentioned before that you have your band, and I wonder how much of your voice acting work affects or influences how you focus your work on your band, and like vice versa as well.
Fascinating question. There is a lot of crossover. I think having a background in music, for anybody who is getting into voiceover, they're very great things to both do, because you learn breath control. That's a really big thing with music. You learn how to put just a lot of sound from your instrument outward and where it resonates. And when you're trying to relax in a booth, or you're trying to articulate certain things, having any sort of training with music is just really valuable. So it's influenced that in a lot of ways. In fact, the casting director for Breath of the Wild, for the very first game, who was also the director, Jamie Mortellaro, he was really happy that I was doing music already, and cited that as like a really awesome thing that I did as a voice actor. So clearly that was an influence on, maybe not in the audition or whatever, but just as like maybe she's going to be more versatile and understand how to take direction more technically sometimes if you need to make quick changes, right? So in that way, music is a big deal. Also, just being able to create your own work is really, really nice in careers where you're doing a lot of auditions and you're doing a lot of work for other people, and you have no control necessarily over where that work is going to go. And so my music is very much my own with our band. We create it all together, and it's very fluid, that process. And it's just really wholesome and healing to be able to do that as well. And on the flip side, I do have one song on the album called Video Game Symphony, which is from, we wrote it in 2018, and it's kind of an ode to video game symphonies, because I was watching a lot of them. Sort of not a love story gone wrong, but it's kind of navigating the landscape of travel and going in and out of these different fantasy games and places. And so the song kind of reflects that model. So there's it influences the music sometimes as well. So.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Pleasure. Hey.
Real quick, just my question would be, with your music and with your acting, voice acting, live acting, how does it feel seeing yourself perform and hearing your own voice?
It's funny. I mean, I have a complex relationship with it, as anybody would probably. Right. And I also, live action, voice, all those things. There's a lot of stuff that I do on screen or recorded where I'm just like, oh no. And I think the further along I get, probably the more perfectionist I get. So it doesn't ease up as I get older. I don't know. I mostly try not to listen back too much. Okay. And if I have to watch stuff, I'll watch it for reference. But I try not to get too hung up on it or have it burned in my mind. It's always sort of moving forward from what I did. And if I can use it as a learning tool, that's cool. Mm. And every once in a while, I'm like, that's awesome. Yeah, I did a good job. But mostly it's just like, oh, no, regardless of whether or not somebody else might interpret it that way. I'm very hard on myself, but we all are. I mean, we're trying to do really precise, meticulous work and stuff, so.
It's always difficult. I know we all are always our own worst enemy.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Hi, Miss Patricia.
Hi.
So my question is, I was wondering how you grew into the role of Zelda, or how you embraced it. How do you use it in your day-to-day life?
How did it affect my day-to-day life, you say?
Yeah, and how did you embrace your role after you got it?
How did I integrate the role into my everyday, you mean? It happened naturally, and I think one of the, I mean, it happens inevitably because I'm going to do events and things like that. So I would say this, getting the role initially and then sitting quietly with it for a year was a fascinating process because I didn't trust that until the game came out I would be in it. You know, you don't know what's ever going to happen with a game. So many of those games, you could be working on a game for years. This has happened to me multiple times. The game gets shut down before it ever comes out. You've done all the motion capture for something, you've done full story, and then it just disappears because it gets dissolved and the finances go elsewhere, the team dissipates. So I didn't think that was going to happen with this, but you really don't know what it's going to be until the game is like on the shelf, right? So that was a lot of, I guess, pressure, but once the game came out, then it was like an inundation of people associating me with that role, and it did actually change my life in that way. I suddenly was, it's funny, you know, like when there's an icon that you're playing, people, even your friends or your family, they'll attach it to you kind of wherever you go. So that was an interesting thing to get used to, and it took me a while to get used to it. I guess now I realize like it's just an awesome game and a symbol that I get to like be a part of and play with, and so it's really fun. But I was like, whoa, what is this? Like for a while, and then I also like traveled the world. That like, you know, for the first few years I traveled to all sorts of places that I never would have found myself otherwise, and that was a long time dream. So I was just like, wow, you know. So yeah, I integrated that part very well. I really enjoyed that.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Also, I enjoyed your twizzles yesterday.
Oh, thank you. I know we did. So I'll do one.
So many twizzles.
I don't know if you guys were at the panel yesterday, but Roger and I were twizzling.
Twizzling.
It's a figure skating reference. It was very funny.
Hello. So, about that, I was at the panel yesterday, and I remember you said that you did theater work before you were doing voiceover work. Is there any specific role that comes to the top of your head from your theater work, and how do you like integrate from your theater experiences into now?
I have several roles from theater. I did a lot of theater before I was like known for voice work, I guess. I have a master's of classical acting as well as an undergrad in theater, and I did a lot of stage work. So that's my journey to it. It's not everybody's, but I found it very, very useful because it's so physical. A role that comes to mind, probably one that I've never quite cracked the nut of, and I would like to try again, but it's really hard, is Hedda Gabler. I don't know if you know that play, but it's an Ibsen play. Henrik Ibsen is a classic playwright, Norwegian, and yeah, that's a very challenging role. And Cate Blanchett did it on Broadway. I did it in a small theater in Montreal, and it was an adaptation of that script. It was really hard. It was a really, really hard process. Weirdly, John Cusack came to see that play. It's like this really strange, it just happened, like he came into the little indie theater to come see it, and I was like, oh, yeah. Like,
Nice.
yeah, stuff like that with theater. But also Rosalind from As You Like It. I do love Shakespeare as well, and that's another highlight role. And it feels really good to play a role like that because it's a very positive comedic script.
Yeah.
So it gives you like a high every night. You come off and you feel chipper and lit up with a role like that.
I actually have an audition coming up for a production of As You Like It.
Really?
Yeah.
What are the chances of that?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
who would have guessed?
Break legs.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
So I do have a question, and this is just something that popped into my head. Do you have, you know, over the 6 years, the games that you're in, do you have a favorite outfit that Zelda wears?
She's got some great fashion.
Right.
I was actually, I see you have like the fountain, like where she's praying. That's a beautiful outfit, classic. That's like Twilight Princess right behind there. So many lovely cosplays here. I kind of like the winter DLC from the first, from Breath of the Wild. I have a robe. I have a bathrobe at home. It's this big winter robe, and when I wear it, I kind of feel a little bit like that outfit.
I
I'm
love
wearing that
it.
outfit.
Funny story. I actually have one of my friends who's a huge Zelda cosplayer. She's actually in the line to ask a question.
Oh, awesome.
She has that outfit, and it looks amazing.
Why didn't she wear it today?
I wish she was cold enough so she could.
That'd be really hot to wear today. Yeah, sounds awesome.
Hi.
Hi.
I was also at the panel yesterday, and I saw that you were talking about how studios would use takes that sometimes you wish you could re-record. But what's the one that sticks out in your mind that you wish that I wish I could go back and re-record that? Why did they use that take?
Oh boy. It's funny because, I mean, it happens all the time, and I don't hold on to anything too preciously. I've done stuff more on stage where I'm just like, oh, and even though maybe 5 people have seen it, I would go back and I would change that moment. I'm trying to think of actual recordings. I tend to let it go, or if I'm really not a fan of it, I forget it. Like I just go gone, and I won't look back.
So it doesn't even come back in your head, and like in the middle of the night or something.
Well, yes, things that actually happens more right after I've done it.
Okay.
Right after I've recorded, I will lose sleep sometimes and go back through, especially if it's been a really like a heightened thing that had a lot of pressure. Auditions as well.
Okay.
You have to do auditions, and you might have a bit of time to prepare, and then you do a callback, which is like every time you're like up for a good role and you get to the callback stage, or maybe even a double or a triple callback stage, you start to forget what you've done, especially if you're in the moment. So you're trying to clock things, but you're also just like you're not always the best judge of what it looks like as well.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll lose sleep. I will. It's inevitable. I can't think of any actual recorded lines that I would think like, oh, I've never hooked on them that much, because I do like.
I understand. Thank you.
Yeah, pleasure. A lot of actors that I know actually, after auditions, make the point of they have a ritual. They take the script that they have. Now they're not all physical anymore, but if you do print it, rip it up and put it straight into the recycling right after the audition and let it go. That's just survival.
That's kind of genius. Yeah, just
It is.
get it out of your head. Like
it does. It
it's
works
done.
really
It's
well.
done.
It's like, okay, I did my thing and I'm moving on, whatever the outcome.
I love that. I do have a question. Do you have so all of the roles, again, you have an extensive filmography. Do you have a dream role that you would love to play?
I think about that and I'm like, I don't attach to anything. There are certain game companies I'd love. There are plenty of game companies that I haven't worked with, or major roles that I haven't done, lead characters, but I don't know. It sometimes comes down to what's like the dream team that I would like to work with, or the type of style of room that you're in. And I often think of like really strong writers and a diverse ecosystem in a room where you have a lot of really thoughtful people that let everyone else speak. And I'm finding actually more rooms are becoming this way. It's becoming like in writers' rooms or game rooms, you get a good vibes. And I hate to say it, but like for many, many years, it was all white men, just all white men in a room. I'd be like the only woman with like 15 guys in a room. And this is, that's fine, but that's changing a lot, and it's really nice. So I like those kinds of rooms, those kinds of teams, and they tend to make a different process, whether or not you see the results necessarily on the final product. So I think more about the process more than the accolade of the role itself.
Okay.
These days. And maybe that's because I'm playing Zelda and I already have, like that kind of affirmation sometimes.
Yes.
I'm
Know your
spoiled.
worth.
I don't know.
I wanted to start off by saying the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom Zelda is my favorite iteration of the character Zelda. And that's saying something, because I loved her in Spirit Tracks and Skyward Sword, the relationship she had with people. So a million thanks to you for bringing that to life.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
My question is, and she already kind of asked it in a broader sense, Zelda has this accent, and my brain always wants to tell me it's British. It's not British. It's like a royal, regal type of thing.
UK fantasy based, something in between. People ask this a lot, and they're like, "Why is she British?" And I'm like, I went into this audition, like, that's what was approved. It's Hylian. I mean, really what it is, it's a Hylian accent of one of many Hylian accents. Like, as you know, like, I can write in TP Hylian. It's one of many kinds of Hylian. I just don't think about it like that. It's like, and I'm not really sure anybody really kind of, like, pinpointed that in the process of making the game either. They're like, we like that. That sounds nice for that. And so they left
That was my question is, was that more of your call as an experienced voice actor, or was
it's
it
what I
the
brought in,
director?
and I auditioned with that before I knew what I was auditioning for.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, cheers.
So I do have a question. You touched on this a little bit, along with the dream role. So I want to know, is there, what's better? Like, do you have a favorite director, or is it more director or writer that, like, influences? It's not, like, totally fleshed out in my brain, but I think you get the gist.
Oh, boy. I should write a list of people that I actually do want to work with. Yorgos Lanthimos. I really like Killing of the Sacred Deer and
Nice.
Lobster and those movies.
Mm-hmm.
Jane Campion, really love that. Andrea Arnold, directors. There's so many though, and there's so many great upcoming people that I've not even heard of. And writers, I mean, I'm trying to think. They're also like, so many of the things that you work on are like a team of writers. They might be under one name, but a lot of them are written by a team.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just want to work. I want to work. I want to get a script and be surprised and excited by it, because so often that's actually just not the case. It's very cookie cutter, what we read, and this goes for video games or TV film. I'd say theater, but I don't read as many theater scripts these days, but you sort of know where it's going right away, and there's a style of language immediately which gives you an idea for a character. But then every once in a while you get a script, or you get sort of some breakdown, and you're like, oh, wow. And it's rare, and when you do, you push for that one real hard.
Go for it.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Even just to have fun, like, yeah.
Okay.
Hi there, Patricia.
Hi.
Nice honor speaking with you today. I had a question about the relationship between Link and Zelda. I always wondered, if Link and Zelda ever had a break after the calamity and what happens in Tears of the Kingdom, where would you think they would go for vacation?
For vacation? I love it. Does it have to be in Hyrule, or can it be anywhere?
I think it would probably be, it could be anywhere. I don't think it has to be limited to Hyrule.
I mean, I'm only going to answer like where I would like to go for vacation. They would visit the set of Lord of the Rings. They'd go to New Zealand.
So they'd probably go to Middle Earth.
They would go to someplace in New Zealand. I'm going to stick with this. I went there once, and I have to go back for a much longer time. Saw the glowworm caves, and I thought, of all the places to go, there are many places in the world I'd like to visit. National parks, geothermal parks, but New Zealand has a lot of those places, and I really think Zelda and Link would geek out there, and they'd be like, this is the best thing that has ever happened to me. I feel like I'm in a fantasy world.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
You know the funny part, now that you mention that, I can only imagine just Zelda and Link hanging out in Rivendell with Elrond, or like, and Lothlorien, just
like, what kind of elf are you? What is
yeah. Like, you're not one of us.
What is that?
Miss Summersett, so my question is, I'm a little deceptive in my getup, because I actually...
Yeah, you look like a fan. Are you not a fan?
Well, I'm here because of, Zelda, yes, but also because I know of your work from For Honor as Estrella.
Oh, yes.
And the thing about that role is just it's so different from Zelda.
It's so different.
And also just the process, I can't imagine. Because I'm playing the game, you have to do the voices for like moves and little animations and voiceover. I just wonder, could you give any insight into the process of what that's like? Meaning, are you... When you're recording in the booth, do you like see the animations as they're playing? Or is it just like you're given the lines and you and they like time it to your voice? Or is it like, do you hear the sound effects? Do you hear the music that's playing in the background, or is it just a screen and you have to kind of like picture that in your head?
So for that particular one, because they are all a little different, obviously Zelda's a dub, and so you have like a line that comes up, and then it's like, bloop, and you know when you have to start talking, you see the flaps and finish, and you have to kind of like match that. For a game like For Honor and War Mommy, who has a voice like this all the time, you know, she's like really intense and she's bloodlusty and everything. Her cues were more a lot of free lines. So a lot of script where you're just doing some pretty intense lines, a lot of them back to back. So you're going to have slightly shorter sessions. Ubisoft is very good about trying to prevent as much vocal fatigue as possible. And again, that kind of character, it's inevitable you're going to have a very tired voice after keeping your range down there and essentially doing something with your vocal cords, which leaves them a little bit open where a lot of breath goes through. Yeah, there is probably a lot of free lines in that, but then when you see the character doing, you know, like 3-part battle, you know, things where it's like,
the executions, right?
Yeah, so you are timing those as well.
Okay.
And you give, you know, several variations, so you may see one variation, and I probably gave 3 or 4 for that particular thing, and they chose one, which I never get to see which ones they've chosen until it's done, but I haven't come back and looked at it, but I love War Mommy. She's amazing and hilarious.
That season of the game is where I started, and it's my favorite season, so thank you.
Awesome. Thanks.
So I have a quick question. How would you feel, right? You know, you voiced Zelda for 3 games already. How would you feel about a game where you play as Zelda?
Where I play as Zelda?
Right.
Oh, you mean where Zelda is a playable
Where Zelda
character?
is a playable character instead of Link.
In Age of Calamity, she is playable. She is playable, and she's a warrior, a fighter in that, so it's pretty cool. Yeah, that
Okay.
was. I think a lot of people were really happy about that when that. Yeah, there were people like, yeah, it's all right.
I feel like a fake fan. I have the game and I never played it. I bought it right after I bought Breath of the Wild, and I was just obsessed with Breath of the Wild that I never touched Age of Calamity.
You should.
I should.
I mean, it's a very different style of game.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no spoilers for Tears of the Kingdom. Could be anything.
No,
but
right.
Age of Calamity, that's been out for a while, and yeah, it's a melee game, so.
Yeah.
It's an honor to speak with you.
My pleasure. Yes. Hi.
So you said that when you were developing Zelda's voice, you didn't really know that it was going to be Zelda. Were there going to be, or did you look at any other characters for inspiration for whatever prompt you were given?
Before I knew what it was, yeah, I mean, I guess let's see. I think more for the callback, if I recall properly. It's hard to remember like really detailed stuff now, 'cause that was a lot of years ago. I mean, I've said this before in interviews, like, I will look at things like, you know, Hermione, any work from Kate Blanchett, Kate Winslet, Emilia Clarke. Like, they're all characters, but also those are often references for every fantasy game that you're ever going to audition for, too. But your version of channeling a little bit of that here with like a smidgen of that there is going to sound very different from somebody else's. But I use all of those references regularly. And I definitely used, and have always used that for the beginning stages of the Zelda voice. And I think as it evolved, it really turned into something else once you have the character sort of in your body. But yeah, that's sort of it, yeah. Kind of all those awesome fantasy female characters that have like a little bit of royalty. Sometimes they're British-ish. Yeah.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Real quick, I want to take a question back to New Zealand. I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, and the fact that you got to go, I was wondering, do you have like a favorite spot besides like the Glowworm Cave?
I did visit the Hobbit, like the Shire.
Yes.
And it was lovely. It was amazing.
Was it?
Yeah.
That's top 10 in my spots to visit, like on my bucket list. I have to go.
I liked it more than I thought I was going to, actually.
Really?
Yeah, because I know like the houses are sort of, they're hollow on the inside, like or they're not sort of fully formed houses, but it's incredible. It's just incredible. And you have a lot of the stories of the shooting when you go over there. the filming, I should say. That sounds right. But yeah, I wish I would like to go back to New Zealand, as I say, and actually spend more time. I didn't visit any mountains personally. Yeah, in fact, I think a tourist had had an unfortunate circumstance there, maybe made some bad judgments, so it was closed, and people were like, "You can't go up there," and we're like, "Wow." So,
All
but
right, good to
on a
know.
different time of the season, I would go back and.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sounded like a very dark answer suddenly, but yeah.
Hello. First off, just thank you for coming to answer our questions. Very much appreciated.
My pleasure.
My question is, when you get like a new script, what is your method / process of kind of becoming the character and like and realizing who the character is for you?
It's going to change depending on the script and what's required of that script, but anything that involves like a Zelda character or again, anything like live action or theater, it happens in chunks, it happens in layers. So you're reading through it. When you read through it again, you're going to find very different things than you did the first time. And then I'll try out kind of what I would consider like superficial offerings, like does it sound a bit like this, you know, but then I'll go back through and I'll ask a series of questions at the script, and it's always better when you do research and script work. It pops out suddenly really interesting choices that feel very genuine. So I ask the who, what, when, where, how, why is this person here, what is the context they're living in, and once you start actually doing that, and I'll take a pen and paper, like I'm a writer, so I'll write everything out. I'll have like a page that is like scribbled all over the place by the time I'm done, and it makes no sense, and I'd never be able to find what I wrote, but something about the act of writing it puts it in there a little better, so I'll just
completely
kind of,
understand.
Yeah, it's like that. And then I kind of a layering process, and then repetition. You sort of slowly find what you're looking for. So yeah, I wonder if everybody's a little different there, but.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you very much. And I hope you have more iconic roles, you know, than Zelda.
Thank you. I'd hope so too. Appreciate it. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so out of the enemies in the Zelda duology, the Switch duology, which one is your favorite?
The enemies?
Yeah.
Can I say Ganondorf? Like, can I just say like?
I mean, yeah.
I mean, he's my nemesis, man.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like who else I'd have as much kind of problem or mirth for. Do you think of any like?
I don't think so.
Who compares?
Fair enough.
No, I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Good afternoon, Patricia.
You look awesome. Is this homemade?
Yes, I made the entire.
Wow. You gotta come up and like. Can you show everybody this cosplay?
Yes.
Yeah, come quick, please. Wow.
I'm a little
Look
biased.
at that
This is the friend
kingdom.
that was
This is
me.
amazing.
Yes.
What's your name? Sorry. Oh, sorry. You can
Rebecca.
Rebecca.
Yes.
Yes, my name is Rebecca.
Rebecca. Thank you for this gorgeous cosplay. Wow.
Thank you for inspiring it. So my question to you is actually, do you have any information about Zelda's mother?
I don't. I feel like Audrey, who plays Little Zelly, who is here, she seems to have researched a lot more than I ever realized existed, which is super cool. I find that she's just this big, grand, kind of sad mystery. Where did she go? I don't know what happened to her, but I guess I have my own kind of version deep down inside of where I put it for acting purposes. No, I don't really have much information about Zelda's mother. I wish I did. I think Zelda wishes she did too, if she were a person. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Oh,
Yeah.
she'll be around.
Yeah.
Yes. She actually.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, I can. Yes, I can accept gifts.
Nice. Okay, I'll let her know.
Okay.
You heard the rumor about the Legend of Zelda movie they're planning on making.
I saw somebody tweet something about it, which they've been doing for like
so long.
10 years, right?
If they're gonna make the movie, will you be auditioning for the role of Zelda?
That is a great question. I have no idea. No idea. it'd be nice, but I don't. And I also wonder if it would be like animation or live action or what they're thinking if there was something. Big, I don't know. I hope it's great though, whatever it is. They better do justice.
Yes. As long as they have a scene where he's just, excuse me, princess.
That's how it's going to start in the opening credits.
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
Excuse me.
It'll be the Star Wars
Introducing,
credits,
yeah.
but it'll just be, excuse me.
I'd love that if they did nods to like. Yeah.
What's your favorite game you've been in?
What's the favorite game I've ever been in? Right now, I really want to say Breath of the Wild Zelda. And that's probably true. Thank you for your lovely cosplay.
Oh, I love this so much.
Cute.
Hi, thank you so much for coming out.
Oh, my pleasure.
So my question is kind of like a statement before the question, but in Breath of the Wild, obviously, it's a little different how the story plays out. We wake up as Link. He doesn't know what's going on. He meets the old man, kind of akin to the Zelda 1, finds out what happened in the past, learns that he has to find out about that. We learn about what happens to Zelda through the memories. So Zelda kind of becomes the heart of the game because she's the spoken character, which is the first in the series.
Is this a spoiler that you're about to say?
Not at all. This is Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Spoilers still.
I haven't finished Tears of the Kingdom.
Some people have just beat the game, like just like.
I don't know how they can do it, but yeah. Anyway, so she becomes like kind of the heart piece because Link doesn't talk. So his story is through going through adversity, getting stronger, becoming more powerful, and finding strength to beat Calamity Ganon. Zelda, as we find, like we see her doubting herself and like having this personal journey, more interpersonal, and I think it's really cool because they're both wearing the same uniform. It's like they're both going through this journey together. There's a duology to it.
Yeah.
So you get to that scene after you get all the memories where she stops, she finds the power within herself. And I just found that incredibly powerful because the second time you see her after that is when she emerges out of Calamity Ganon at the very end of the game in the dress, like as Zelda. And I was wondering if that like sense of self-actualization for Zelda is something that carried over from the end of Breath of the Wild into Tears of the Kingdom for you.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I would actually, I think playing a character that's been so adventurous and had so many things happen to her, and she has to keep on overcoming these obstacles, that happening, also in real life over a series of 6 years, there is a feeling of, I want to say, that sounds cheesy to say, but like increasing wisdom, both in the way that one approaches it and also where it sits, where it feels grounded when you're performing the character, and I think she evolves naturally with the games. There is a sense that she's sort of getting older and wiser as the games go on, and yeah, I'd say self-actualization is a good word.
Really cool how life imitates art. Thank you.
Pleasure.
I do want to know real quick before our question. I feel like I've asked you this before. Do you feel like there are any similarities between you and Zelda?
I think there are as many similarities as there are differences. When I think of us in terms of like what I relate to, because whenever you come to a character, any character, you look at things that you can relate to and the things that are more of a stretch that you try to understand from their perspective. Mm-hmm. And I do feel like Zelda is an incredibly relatable character for so many people, which is why she's such a wonderful classic character. But I don't know. I mean, honestly, just this idea of the pressure that she puts on herself, that and being like a hardcore lover of nature. Yes. That's definitely. I mean, I grew up in the woods, and I grew up next to Lake Superior, and it's where I go back to. And my family is very outdoorsy, but not just outdoorsy. It's like secluded outdoors, as deep back into the woods with no one around as you can find. That's sort of where my family would go and camp, and it means a lot to me. So I maybe I even project that onto her or something.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, and then the pressure, trying to live up to something and find a voice, which is almost the act of auditioning and trying to perform anything whatsoever. It's very easy to relate to that, but I'm sure a lot of people can relate to her for that.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
It was great to meet you earlier.
Thank you. Yeah, you
All
too.
right. Okay, so
On the internet, what is your favorite The Legend of Zelda meme you've ever seen on the internet?
I don't look at memes on the internet. What are you talking about? There are many that I can't unsee. And a lot that I maybe haven't seen. In terms of memes, I would actually say just videos recently of people fusing weapons and doing really, really crazy things in Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes.
Ground control to Major Tom. Somebody launches a Korok on a rocket ship, and then ground control to Major. And I'm like, and I love Bowie, and I'm like, this is. How did somebody think of this? This is so brilliant.
Yeah.
That comes to mind as one of I think I laughed inside you're walking down and grabbing an ice cream cone or doing your thing and you're just like, and that's what that's what you're thinking about. It's like that Korok that got launched on that ship with the, Amazing.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Heyo.
Hello.
Question for Patricia. As an actress, what is your background in training and education, and what's the most valuable insight you gain from those training and education?
Well, my background would be a combination of experience singing and dancing as a kid in a small town,
Okay.
and then figure skating from a young age. Again, once small town rinks, going to train, doing a bit of high school theater, realizing I really liked it, and then ultimately deciding to pursue acting in school so that I had a reason to keep pursuing it. Otherwise, I don't think I would have been able to justify it for myself. I needed that structure.
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of where my background is. It's the combination of song, dance, and then competitive figure skating, which, ice dancing.
Mm-hmm.
What's the other question? Sorry.
What was the most valuable insight
advice?
you gained from that?
I would like to be so wise when I answer these questions, but I'm just like, well, there are so many. Really, I think over time, one of the biggest insights is that it takes a very, very long time to get to where you are visualizing. And they're just it happens in this kind of funny way over a series of years. And there have been so many times where I've thought, this is the pinnacle of what I'll be doing. And then the next day you're like, this is so humbling and I am done. And then you're like, wow, that happened. And then you're like, oh, so I would like to go back and tell my younger self not to be so hard on myself, because I think it's really, really easy for a young struggling actor to just flog yourself, beat yourself up for all the things that you see other people doing that you're not doing. There's so much comparison nowadays, and it really has to be about your own process, because you're not going to do the work that is good unless it is coming from you, and it's almost the easiest thing to forget and the hardest thing to train. So don't spend too much time comparing yourself to other people. Use it as references, but when it comes down to it, you gotta do your own thing, and the stuff that you're passionate about will bring you back to the kind of work that is suitable for you. You don't get to do everything, but you do get to do very cool things. Follow what you are feeling curious about. You gotta follow that. So that's a really convoluted answer, but I do find right now in this present day, there's so much on social media, there's so much on seeing what other people are doing, and it's this amazing well of information that you can get.
Mm-hmm.
And yet at the same time, you can spend hours watching what other people are doing and never train your own thing. So if you want to do creative work, you got to spend time by yourself in that process. So that would be my best bit of advice, honestly, at this point. And take care of yourself. You gotta be healthy to do this kind of work.
I try to, yeah. Thank you.
Cheers. Got very serious there, guys, but actually, it's true. Hello, Zelda.
Hello. I have a two-part question. And the first part of it is, what kind of opportunities have you had to interact with different content creators as a result of being Zelda, like cosplayers and that kind of thing?
Oh.
And then, and then with that, what are some of those most memorable interactions that you've had with fans, whether it's on the internet or here in conventions or anything like that?
Big question, so I'll try to be specific about it. I'd say becoming part of the Zelda series has given me almost all of my interactions with cosplayers and fans. Since that point, I've also had a chance to meet cosplayers and fans from other franchises that I've voiced, like Assassin's Creed and Rainbow Six and For Honor, and who knows what else is coming. I probably can't think of all of them, but they are delightful. I'd say I have so many highlights, it's hard to kind of choose them. They're like my special babies and this landscape that I carry around within me that I'm like, wow. Receiving amazing fan art that somebody's drawn a story of even just families playing together or friends playing together and what it meant for people's periods in their life, just the joy of that. I have so many memorable ones, and such strange ones too, like, I don't know, like going to Saudi Arabia and like signing an autograph for a prince or something, like things like that have happened. And then on the flip side, you might be in like, Kansas and just having this really incredible story from somebody who overcame something using the Legend of Zelda series as a tool for learning. If they have like a physical handicap that they needed dexterity and using a remote control helped them. So I don't know, like it's kind of hard to really sort of open to the stories. And I love them all. It's amazing. It's like a really incredible way to hear about the world, truly. I guess, like that's right.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Okay.
Wow, we ended like right on the on the money.
Yeah, right on time. So thank you guys for coming out. I just wanted to say, can we give another like huge round of applause for the one and only Patricia Summersett?
Thank you.
Right? This was amazing.
Yes.